Hey folks, I'm back again this week to discuss another space cybersecurity news article. I'm going to include the article as well as a more detailed write-up down in the description. I'd encourage you to go read the news article. A lot of the topics in it I'm not going to touch on. It's a fairly detailed and has quite a few number of topics in the article. But the topic I'm going to touch on is an interesting topic that I found in the article around the fact that cyber attacks on space systems are still not considered on the same level as physical attacks against space systems. So a nation state physically attacking another country's satellite would tend to draw a large amount of condemnation and have political ramifications and could even be considered an act of war. But every day there's a growing number of cyber attacks on these space systems, and a lot of them are difficult to attribute to a group or country, and they also are not considered to be the same real level as a physical attack. The other interesting item along these lines in the article is that as we start growing and having these large constellations or mega constellations of satellites, the impact of a physical attack on them diminishes. And so the more satellites that you have up there, the more work it is to cause damage to these constellations. If you wanted to take out a portion of Starlink's service, there's thousands of satellites up there, and you'd have to impact quite a few of them to really affect the service. Whereas through a cyber attack, you have once you get in, if you find a vulnerability or an exploit, you can easily go from affecting a single satellite to potentially the entire constellation. So that was something that I've been thinking about the security implications for and the changing threat landscape. The current means of targeting these satellites is currently still primarily operators, ground stations, command and control, and traditional infrastructure that's used to communicate with the satellites. But in the future, I believe as the satellites start to use more and more standards-based approaches to their communication and how they're built, and as at the same time as hardware becomes more available and accessible, I think attacks could grow towards direct attacks against the satellites rather than through their existing ground station and infrastructure. I think the other thing to watch out for in the future is that these satellites may have a lot of communication between themselves or other trusted actors, and in general, you're only going to be as strong as your weakest link. So if there's a high priority target that someone is going after, but it is considered fairly secure, one of the easiest ways in might be to compromise another party or another system that talks to it that may be less secure. And once you have a foot in the door to a trusted actor that communicates with it, you now have a better foothold into the more secure system. I think along those lines, this starts to get into the zero trust architecture, and that's a topic that I hope to pursue further in the coming weeks. So keep an eye out for future videos, and thanks for your time.